What is up, faithful? So, he's back. That's right. Brock is back. He's back in camp. He's back 100%. He's back ahead of schedule. So, really good news overall. Really excited. I wanted to take the first, day or so to actually take everything in and just listen to everything, listen to the back and forth over the radio, just listen to different channels, and then kind of chime in and kind of follow up from our last episode talking about Steve Young's comments and the fact that Brock has what he likes to call the force, right? And so, and again, I had at that time obviously I had no knowledge, no clue, none of us really did that Brock would be back. I mean, Brock is cleared fully to play, as most of you probably already know. He's cleared without any restrictions whatsoever. Exciting times, really, really exciting to hear that Brock Purdy is back, everybody. And this is good news, right? Like, no matter where you stand on the debate of whether Brock should start, really, as far as starting week one, or if they should have slow played this or what have you, and then let's see Trey some more. And we're gonna see plenty of Trey. We're gonna see plenty of Trey. We're gonna see plenty of Sam during the preseason time. But this is really good news, everybody, because again, it's better to have more great quarterbacks, more healthy, good, talented young quarterbacks than not, right? And we know what Brock can do. That's the other thing. So we don't, and I should kind of take a step back. We don't know how great everybody else is as far as whether that be Trey or Sam or even Brandon Allen for that matter. But what we do know is that what we saw last year, it wasn't a mirage. We know that this kid can play. Okay, now it's just about, can he continue to do this? Can he show that elbow is fully healed and he's good to go? Well, it looks like tomorrow, apparently, we're going to actually see him make some throws. I was watching another channel today, and they just kind of showed some of the training camp stuff, and he was just kind of doing some play action drills or whatever, but you don't actually see him really throw the ball. So, we get to actually see that tomorrow, apparently. So that's what I'm hearing. That's what I heard today. And so, it should be exciting, right? Like, this is exciting. We're finally getting close to football, right? It's finally happening. It's like that now. It's almost so close. You can smell it, you can touch it. It's right there, and it's really nice because I just it gets stale after a while, right? It's been kind of a long road already back. It feels like since that late January, horrific event that happened in the NFC Championship game. So going from that to then the news that we got yesterday, I mean, that was almost like Christmas morning for me. So hopefully it was similar for most of you out there, if not all of you. And that you're really excited for this, because this is great news. This means that 49er football is on the horizon. There is one small, tiny caveat, though: Nick Bosa's contract. So, for those of you who are, have a tendency to kind of freak out about this, I'd say pump the brakes on that. Just know that they're already in negotiations. As we know, the 49ers and Nick Bosa and his team have always been kind of in good terms, right? Like, there's always been kind of a good back and forth, it seems like. And going back to even when he was drafted, everything's always been really transparent. The communication's always been really good. So again, this, I think, is just more about part of the game, right? This is part of procedure, part of things that happen, when a guy is really great and you need to pay him, right? And so now it's about getting everybody's amount and everybody's, T's, what is it, T's crossed and the I's dotted, and making sure that everything is exactly as it should be, and then everything will be all right. So again, I feel pretty confident that he will report as soon as that's signed, though. He won't do it before. And I think John Lynch alluded as much yesterday when he spoke to the media, just saying that really doesn't expect Nick to come into practice before the contract is signed. And that's kind of, again, standard operating procedure. Usually a guy is not going to continue on and join practice when he's still in the middle of negotiations, because remember, even though his representation is there, he's obviously still in communication, and that's where his mind is at. And we don't want that as fans, and as coaches. Obviously, his mind needs to be fully on football. So it's really to be expected that just because he's not signed yet and that he's not attending practice, that it means anything negative. No, this is pretty much standard operating procedure, especially when you're signing big deals and deals or big extensions like Nick is. So again, that was the one thing that people are going, all right, well, we haven't signed him yet. Where's big number 97? Again, let's pump the brakes. Everything is fine. Everything is moving very smoothly. I mean, again, the news, even with all that, the news of the day really is how in the world Brock was able to rehab so quickly to the point. I mean, I was talking when I first started this channel. I think I don't remember which episode it was, maybe the second or third episode. And I was talking about maybe August 25th as a good target date for maybe getting Brock in for one series if he was healthy enough before week one. Right. And it's July 26th today. It was July 25th yesterday. So I just, we look how far we've come, right? Just look how far this whole situation has come, and it's exciting again to have Brock back. It's exciting for the players. It's good to have this stabilizing force in place. And again, the other great piece to this is all we've heard this entire camp, or I should say OTAs prior to camp, is how well Trey is doing. He's improved. It looks like Sam Darnold is also looking pretty good. Everybody's looking pretty good behind Brock. So that's again another bit of good news that I don't know if is going somewhat underreported. That the depth right now at quarterback looks really good. Now, of course, we have to take that with a huge grain of salt that Trey hasn't really uh, had the opportunity and hasn't had the amount of snaps and game time for us to feel like, okay, if he wins the number 2 job, everything is good to go, just as it would with Brock being in there. That we don't know, and we'll find out. Again, I fully expect Trey to have a really good preseason. I think that the competition between him and Sam Darnold for that second spot, I think it's going to be really, really heated. It already is, and I think that that's just going to continue into preseason. Kyle Shanahan talked about how this preseason will be much more important than past preseasons have been, because these guys are really battling it out. So, and I fully expect both guys to be on the roster. I think that's another thing too. I've been hearing on the radio and just been kind of hearing from different channels, whether he would get traded or not. Maybe there's an injury and to somebody else's roster, and they need a quarterback, and then his trade value goes up, and that could kind of push and basically push the 49ers and force their hand a little bit. And then we have to find out, okay, what's the compensation? Is it worth it? But I think we're still a little ways away from that. I mean, again, the fact that Brock is in this early, what that actually does is it helps to make sure that all the rest of the dominoes fall into place. So if you know who your QB1 is, then it just becomes a battle of who's going to be your backup and then who's your number 3 if you decide to keep 3 quarterbacks, which I fully expect Kyle to do. Now, again, I don't know if it'll be Sam as the number 2 or Trey as the number 2. That's, again, to be decided, obviously, and that will be decided, obviously, in camp, and it will definitely be decided in the preseason games. And so it's going to be exciting preseason. For those of you who are not huge fans of the preseason, I'd say buckle up. It's going to be a really good preseason. You want to tune in. So you're going to want to tune in. August 13th is the first game against the Raiders, and then I think they play, I want to say 6 days later against the Broncos, and that would be August 19th. Right, and then there's the August 25th against the Chargers. So they're coming fast and furiously, right? These preseason games, they don't really slow up, and as we know, that second to last preseason game is more of the dress rehearsal for week 1, because we don't expect, really, now that we know Brock's back, I don't expect him to play on the 25th like I did before, when I thought maybe you get him back healthy by then just to get him in for a series. So he's not coming in fully cold in week 1 without having played at all since that fateful night against the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. But we don't have to worry about that anymore, right? So that's really good news as well. So Brock is going to see the field, I really believe. Probably, I don't know if it'll be the first preseason game or the second, but one of those 2 games he's going to get a series. I definitely believe that. I don't think they're going to put him in saran wrap until week 1. He will definitely see some time. And then again, who's coming? What's the cavalry looking like, right? Who's coming in after him? Sam, Trey, the twos and the threes, how all that looks, how that all fits together. Really interested to find out. Really, really interested to find out. And just this is exciting times, everybody. This is very good news for the 49ers. This is great news for us as fans because, again, I think had Brock not healed the way that he did and had maybe he had some setbacks or some issues, and again, knock on wood. I'm always knocking on wood. Where's the tiki mask? Knocking on the tiki mask right now because it's made out of wood. All right. But thankfully, he did not have any kind of setbacks. Now that we know that, we can already start to again. Everything starts to fall into place at this point now. Right now, we can take our stress really and our concern off of that at least for the time being. Right. And be able to say, okay, let's watch the guy practice. Let's watch him ramp up. He is going to be on somewhat of a pitch count, right? For those of you familiar with and fans of baseball, they're just going to kind of be monitoring how many throws and how many times he throws consecutively. So he won't throw 3 days in a row to start. He's going to probably throw, 1 or 2 days and then 1 day off. That's what they're going to do in the beginning until he can get to 3 days in a row. And I think for what Kyle was saying during their presser yesterday, Kyle expects that to take about 2 weeks of doing that. So again, that's another amazing thing to hear because the speed at which all this is happening is just bodes really well for the 49ers. And it bodes well for Kyle, really, because he can now plan out his preseason knowing he's got 3 quarterbacks, not 2 and 1 that's still rehabbing. So that's another thing too that's going to be good just in terms of scheduling, right? Just in terms of knowing which guys to have on the field, which guys to not, who gets first team reps, who doesn't. And again, it's very, very clear. Brock will get the first team reps when he's in there. When he's not in there, they're going to be split between Trey and Sam. So again, that battle is extremely heated. And as excited as I am to see Brock back, I'm really excited to see this battle between these two guys for the number 2 spot because these dudes are very talented. Let's make no mistake. I understand that Sam Darnold has not had much success at all in his last 2 stops. But let's remember too that the guy was also drafted top 5 and he has a cannon as well. He's got mobility as well. So the tools are there. It's just about can he refine those? Can Brian Greasy refine those tools? Can Kyle Shanahan put him in good positions? Because his tools are there. We know about Trey's tools, and we know he's done a lot of work with private throwing coaches and just in general, just making sure that he looks more fluid. And just some of the clips that I saw, he looks more fluid. I mean, there's no question about that. And so I'm just excited to see both of those guys bringing their skill sets and their talent, which is very, very high, and be able to battle it out. And let's see what happens, right? Because we know no one's keeping score in these games really, but the score keeping that we're doing is we're trying to see who looks really good with whom, whether it be the twos or the threes. Regardless, we want to see these guys ball out, right? Like we want to see these guys make throws, and we want to see them make some great throws, whether that be down the field or the short to intermediate game, maybe tight window throws outside the hashes. They're going to have those plays. I mean, Kyle will draw it up, whether it's preseason or not. He will draw up those plays, and especially this preseason because, as he said, it's this is going to help decide who's the backup quarterback. So he's going to be drawing up plays for both guys, probably similar plays too, and try to see, okay, who can execute this play better. And so he's just going to pit both guys against each other as is usual, but not like this, not to the level where you have 2 guys that were drafted in the top 5. I think it was both top 3. I think he was also 3rd overall, if I'm not mistaken. It was Sam Darnold was. So you have 2 guys drafted in the top 5, and they're both going to be battling it out for the number 2 spot. And the number 1 guy is actually the last pick in the draft. I mean, who would have? You can't write this stuff. You can't make this stuff up, right? You cannot make this stuff up. So really excited to see everybody come back healthy for the most part. I know Mitch Wishnowsky messed up his back, but hopefully as our punter, Again, sorry, Mitch, but of all the injuries, you're the one guy. You're one of the few guys where, well, as long as you're not completely not out for a long time, but it doesn't seem like he will be. So that's why I can make a joke about it. But yeah, if you have to have an early camp injury, you probably want it to one of your special teamers that will come back, obviously too. But everything else is looking good. Jake Moody's looking good, so I think we're good there, at least with that portion of the kicking game. So but outside of that, everybody for the most part is healthy. We get all these guys back, and like I said, getting close, getting close. This is, now we can kind of really see it. We can kind of see the season, or at least from the preseason outlook, from the preseason lens. We can start to then map out how it's all going to look, and then hopeful that everybody stays healthy, stays as healthy as possible during preseason, and then we'll see some of these battles again. Just before I close it up, I just want to talk about some of these great battles that we're going to get to see. So the wide receiver battle is still really interesting. Still a couple positions up for grabs. I'm really interested to see how Ronnie Bell plays and some of these other guys. Right, obviously, we want to see what Danny Gray can do. See if he's improved and see, just get to see them. Right, so get to see some of these guys and then see how they're used. How Kyle decides to use them. Excuse me, in preseason. So then the second battle too is again the running back battle. So this one can get really interesting. I gotta say, I am really pulling for this guy Kalen Laborn, um, who was the undrafted kid out of Marshall. I really like his running style, and so he's gonna push TDP for that third running back spot, because I think Jordan Mason really is I should say the third, maybe the fourth running back spot in that rotational special teamer spot, basically, because it's obviously CMC, then Elijah Mitchell, and then Jordan Mason is the three. I'm pretty sure that's set in stone. I mean, I just think JP Mason did so many good things last year that you can't just, take him out of that spot. I think he's earned that one for sure. So it's going to be a battle there for that fourth spot. And then again, we're going to see who emerges from this quarterback battle. And with that, I'm really thankful for you guys tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. Really excited to keep bringing you some content. Thank you so much, Faithful. Have a good night. Take care.